Night falls over downtown Los Angeles. Neon lights flicker, sirens echo in the distance. And in the middle of the restless city stands a building that looks ordinary but feels profoundly wrong. A tall, pale structure with old windows and faded walls, the Cecil Hotel has a name that refuses to stay buried. Some places feel alive, some feel empty, but the Cecil Hotel feels as if it is watching you. For over 100 years, people have checked into the Cecil, and many have never checked out. This is not just a hotel. It is a silent witness to death, madness, and disappearances. It is a place where serial killers slept peacefully, where guests jumped from windows, and where one young woman vanished in a way that still has no answers. Once you hear its story, the building's dark presence will linger in your mind forever. The hotel opened in 1924, intended to be glamorous, catering to businessmen, travelers, and dreamers chasing Hollywood fame. But dreams do not survive long in places built on desperation. The Great Depression hit, downtown Los Angeles changed, and crime and poverty spread. Slowly, the Cecil transformed into something darker. People no longer came here to succeed, they came because they had nowhere else to go. And death found its way inside. In 1931, just 7 years after opening, the first recorded suicide occurred when a guest drank poison in his room. Over the decades, guests jumped from windows, shot themselves, or overdosed in silence. Staff cleaned blood as if it were routine, and police tape became a familiar sight. By the 1960s and 70s, the Cecil had become a magnet for broken souls. And then something far worse arrived: serial killers. Richard Ramirez, the infamous Night Stalker, terrorized California in the 1980s, breaking into homes at night, torturing, murdering, and smiling in court. After committing his crimes, he returned to the Cecil Hotel. Imagine a killer walking through the lobby, blood on his clothes, unnoticed. Ramirez stayed, showered, slept, and went out again to kill. The hotel did not reject him, it absorbed him. Another killer, Jack Unterweger, an Austrian murderer of prostitutes, also stayed here while committing crimes in Los Angeles. How many killers slept peacefully in these beds? How many nightmares soaked into the walls? By now, the hotel's reputation was beyond saving. Locals whispered that the building was cursed. Employees reported strange sounds. Guests complained of shadows, whispers, and a constant feeling of dread. Former employees spoke in hushed tones of how working at the Cecil changed people. Night staff reported footsteps on empty floors, elevators moving on their own, and phones ringing with no one on the line. Some said they smelled perfume in hallways with no one there, while others heard crying behind locked doors. Management ignored these stories. At the Cecil, strange things were normal. Guests refused to sleep in certain rooms, citing a pressure on their chests or mirrors that felt unsettling. In the 1970s, a woman jumped from an upper floor, her body landing on a pedestrian below, killing him instantly. 2 lives ended in one moment, one fall, one scream. Another case involved a man waking to find a dead woman beside him, someone he claimed not to know. Police never fully explained it. The Cecil collected stories like these and buried them quietly. Over time, the hotel became connected to Los Angeles' darkest streets. Skid Row grew nearby, bringing drugs, crime, and desperation. People came when they had nothing left to lose, and the Cecil welcomed them. Some believe the building acts like a mirror, reflecting what people carry inside. Pain enters and multiplies. By the time Eliza Lam arrived in 2013, the hotel was already soaked in tragedy. She was young, curious, and traveling alone. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but guests complained about her behavior, and she was moved to a private room. Friends said she loved writing and exploring, sharing her journey online. But her posts grew darker and more confused after arriving in Los Angeles. Then she vanished. Days passed with no sign of her. Police searched the hotel, rooms, hallways, and the roof, but found nothing. Then guests began complaining about the water, which was dark, smelled strange, and had low pressure. Maintenance workers went to check the roof water tanks, and inside one of them, they found Eliza Lam's body floating, naked and decomposed. The world froze. How did she get there? The tank lids were heavy and supposedly secure. No security footage showed her accessing the roof. Then the police released elevator footage, showing Eliza pressing buttons, stepping in and out, looking scared and seemingly talking to someone invisible. Her movements felt unnatural, as if she were being followed or controlled. Some say she had a mental episode, others believe someone else was there. The official ruling was accidental drowning, but questions remain unanswered. Why were the lids closed? Why didn't anyone hear her? Why did the elevator behave strangely? And why did it happen at the Cecil Hotel again? Internet detectives analyzed every frame of the footage, slowing it down, brightening shadows, and examining gestures. Some swear they see a figure. Others hear voices in the enhanced audio. Nothing was proven, but nothing was fully dismissed. That uncertainty keeps the story alive. Even today, tourists visit the building to feel something, to stand where tragedy occurred. Some leave disappointed, others leave shaken. The hotel was eventually partially closed, renovated, and renamed, but the walls remain the same, the rooms unchanged, and the past is still there. Paint cannot cover memory. The Cecil Hotel is no longer just a building. It is a warning, a reminder of what happens when suffering is ignored, when evil is tolerated, and when darkness is allowed to stay. Perhaps the hotel isn't cursed, perhaps it was never healed, and places like that never forget. Even decades later, the Cecil Hotel continues to cast its shadow over Los Angeles. The stories of lost souls have become legend, but the legend feels alive, not imagined. Visitors report sudden chills in hallways, the inexplicable creak of floors above when no one is there, and fleeting shadows glimpsed from the corner of their eyes. Some claim to hear faint whispers, just a breath behind them, though the halls are empty. These are not tales of entertainment, they are the lingering traces of hundreds of tragedies that occurred within these walls. Every room carries a memory. Every floor echoes despair. People have said that once you stay in the Cecil, you can feel the collective sorrow pressing down, a heaviness impossible to shake. There is something about the Cecil that draws attention beyond its notoriety. It is not merely a site of misfortune, it seems to attract people who are vulnerable, lost, or tormented. Over time, a pattern emerges. Those who check in often leave changed. Some speak of dreams that continue long after they depart, nightmares of shadows, water, or falling. Some leave abruptly, refusing to explain why. The building feeds on this energy, perhaps unconsciously, accumulating stories of fear and sorrow that give it an almost tangible presence. It is as if the walls themselves remember the anguish of those who suffered, and in doing so, keep a silent watch over every new visitor. And yet, the Cecil persists. The city around it thrives, tourists pass, and life continues, but the hotel remains unchanged. It is a relic, a monument to what is forgotten, ignored, and unresolved. The floors remember the despair of the hopeless. The elevators carry the echoes of fear. The water tanks, roof, and dark corners hold secrets that may never be revealed. To stand inside the Cecil is to feel the weight of history pressing down, an oppressive reminder that darkness can linger where light once shone. And though the world has tried to forget, the building waits, patient, enduring, silent, and ever watchful. If you ever walk past it at night, do not look up. And whatever you do, do not check in. The Cecil watches. The Cecil waits. It absorbs pain, despair, and the stories of those who never leave. Once you know its history, every shadow feels alive. Every sound seems dangerous, and you realize that some doors should never be opened, and some hotels should never be entered.